In a modest apartment on the outskirts of New York, 28-year-old Emily Carter was starting another exhausting day. The shrill sound of her alarm clock broke the silence, cutting through her restless dreams of a better life. As she forced herself out of bed, her body felt heavy, not just from physical exhaustion, but from the weight of endless responsibilities and unfulfilled dreams. As a single mother, Emily juggled multiple part-time jobs to support her 6-year-old daughter, Olivia, whose laughter and sparkling blue eyes were her only source of joy amidst the daily struggles. Their tiny apartment bore the marks of a life lived in survival mode. The worn-out furniture, peeling wallpaper, and cluttered kitchen told the story of a young woman who had put her dreams aside to provide for her child. Yet, despite the hardships, Emily held on to hope. She knew that Olivia deserved more. A safe home, a better education, and the kind of childhood that didn't involve counting pennies at the end of every week. When Emily stumbled upon a job listing for an elevator operator at the Harrington Mansion, it seemed like a sign from fate. The mansion, known for its grandeur and wealthy residents, felt like a world apart from Emily's reality. Although the job seemed simple enough, she couldn't ignore the sense of foreboding that came with it. "This could be the chance to change our lives," Emily told herself, clutching Olivia's hand as she dropped her off at school. Despite her apprehension, she resolved to take the risk. The story that followed was one of transformation, mystery, and an unexpected connection that would alter Emily's and Olivia's lives forever. With her head held high, Emily set off for her interview, unaware of the secrets and opportunities awaiting her behind the imposing iron gates of the Harrington Mansion. That morning, Emily stood before the towering iron gates of the Harrington Mansion, her nerves on edge. Beyond the gates lay an opulent estate, the kind she had only seen in movies. The meticulously maintained gardens and the grandeur of the mansion's classic architecture filled her with awe and a sense of unease. She pressed the intercom button, and a metallic voice responded. "Harrington residents, how may I assist you?" "My name is Emily Carter. I'm here for the elevator operator position," she replied, her voice trembling slightly as she tried to sound confident. After a brief pause, the gates began to swing open, their creaking hinges echoing in the quiet morning air. Emily took a deep breath and stepped onto the stone path leading to the main entrance, her heart pounding. The towering mansion seemed both majestic and intimidating, a stark contrast to her modest apartment. Every step carried the weight of her hope and fear. This job could be the opportunity she needed to transform her and Olivia's lives. At the entrance, a middle-aged woman in an immaculate uniform greeted her. "Miss Carter, I'm Mrs. Thompson, the housekeeper. Please follow me. Mr. Harrington will see you in his office." As Emily stepped inside, she was struck by the mansion's breathtaking elegance. Crystal chandeliers sparkled above the marble floors, and priceless artwork adorned the walls. She felt out of place in her simple dress and worn-out shoes. Mrs. Thompson led her to a carved wooden door, knocked softly, and opened it. "Mr. Harrington, Miss Carter is here," she announced. Inside the spacious office, Alexander Harrington sat behind an imposing oak desk. He appeared to be in his early 40s, his tailored suit exuding sophistication. His graying hair was neatly combed, and his piercing green eyes seemed to evaluate Emily with precision. "Miss Carter, please have a seat," he said, his deep voice commanding respect. The interview was formal and thorough. Alexander asked about her work experience, ability to handle pressure, and arrangements for her daughter during late shifts. Emily answered honestly, emphasizing her dedication and willingness to learn. "I see you have a daughter," Alexander said, glancing at her resume. "Will that interfere with your work?" "Not at all, sir. I've made arrangements to ensure everything runs smoothly," Emily replied, her hands clasped tightly in her lap. Alexander studied her for a long moment, his intense gaze unrelenting. Finally, he nodded. "Very well, Miss Carter, you'll start tomorrow." Emily could hardly believe her ears. She thanked him profusely, feeling as though a new chapter in her life had just begun. On her first day at Harrington Mansion, Emily threw herself into her new responsibilities with determination. Mrs. Thompson guided her through her main tasks, which included operating the elevator and assisting with various household duties. The mansion wasn't just a place of luxury, it carried an air of mystery that Emily couldn't quite put her finger on. While working, Emily often encountered Alexander. He was always impeccably dressed. yet he never removed his gloves, no matter the weather. During one elevator ride, Emily noticed a faint medicinal scent lingering around him. She began to wonder if her employer was battling a hidden health issue. One afternoon, while cleaning the elevator as Mrs. Thompson had instructed, Emily caught sight of Alexander sitting alone in the grand drawing room. The sunlight streaming through the windows highlighted the exhaustion etched onto his face. Beneath his composed exterior, Emily sensed a man carrying not just physical pain, but also emotional scars. The mystery unraveled during a fitting session. Alexander had asked Emily to alter one of his suits to make it more comfortable. When he removed his jacket and shirt, Emily was stunned to see his skin covered in scars and lesions, a testament to a severe chronic skin condition. "Very few people know about this, Miss Carter," Alexander said, his voice low and hesitant. "I trust you to keep this confidential." Emily quickly composed herself, offering a kind smile. "I'm not here to judge you, Mr. Harrington. I'm here to help you feel comfortable." From that moment, trust began to grow between them. Emily started designing custom garments for Alexander, using soft, breathable fabrics to minimize irritation. Her creations not only concealed his scars, but also gave him a renewed sense of confidence. Meanwhile, Olivia brought new energy to the mansion. The little girl often played in the gardens, laughing with the staff and quickly forming a bond with Alexander. Her innocent curiosity and cheerful chatter seemed to lighten the weight Alexander carried. "Mr. Harrington, you're like a prince in a fairy tale," Olivia told him one day in the garden. Alexander chuckled softly, his eyes warm as he looked at her. Emily observed the growing connection between her daughter and Alexander, and a flicker of hope stirred within her. Perhaps Harrington Mansion wasn't just a place of employment. It could become a place where she and Olivia found a sense of family. The bond between Emily and Alexander deepened with each passing day. Their conversations grew more personal, and Alexander began to rely on Emily, not just as an employee, but as someone he trusted. Though his exterior remained guarded, Emily could see glimpses of vulnerability and warmth. One afternoon, as they worked together in the sewing atelier Alexander had set up for Emily, he broke the silence. "Do you think Olivia would enjoy visiting the mansion more often? She seems to bring a certain life to this place." Emily was surprised but touched by his remark. "I think she would love that, Mr. Harrington. She talks about the gardens like they're straight out of a fairy tale." Alexander smiled softly, his gaze thoughtful. "You too, Emily. You've brought something here I thought I had lost, a sense of peace." His words made Emily's cheeks flush, and she realized she had started to develop feelings for this enigmatic man. A few weeks later, Alexander asked for a private conversation with Emily. In the dim light of the drawing room, he opened up about his condition. "My current treatments only manage the symptoms," Alexander began, his voice faltering slightly. "They don't offer any real progress. I've spent years resigning myself to this reality, but I've recently found a clinic in Switzerland that could help. It's risky, but it might be my only chance." Emily listened intently, sensing the unease in his voice. "So, what's holding you back?" Alexander looked her directly in the eyes, his gaze speaking volumes. "I don't want to go alone. You and Olivia, you've become my family. I want you both to come with me." Emily was stunned. This wasn't just an invitation. It was a declaration that she and Olivia held a significant place in his life. She thought of Olivia, a bright-owned 6-year-old who had grown attached to Alexander in the mansion. "I'll need some time to think about it," Emily replied, feeling the weight of the decision. After several sleepless nights, Emily made up her mind. Looking into Olivia's curious eyes, she explained, "Mr. Harrington needs me to help him during his treatment. We'll be going with him. Is that okay?" Olivia's face lit up with a smile. "We're going to help him get better. I like Mr. Harrington a lot." Emily couldn't help but smile, realizing Olivia already saw Alexander as a father figure. During the days of preparation, Alexander expressed his gratitude often. "Thank you, Emily. This isn't just about the treatment. It's a chance for us to build something lasting together." Emily smiled back, her heart filled with hope. She knew this decision would lead to a new chapter in their lives, one full of challenges but also possibilities. On the day of their departure to Switzerland, the New York sky was gray, as if reluctant to let them go. Emily, Olivia, and Alexander boarded a private jet, their hearts filled with a mix of hope and apprehension. During the flight, Olivia was captivated by the view of clouds outside the window, her sparkling eyes full of wonder as she peppered Emily and Alexander with questions about their destination. Emily and Alexander sat side by side, their hands clasped discreetly under the table. "Are you nervous, Mr. Harrington?" Emily asked softly, noticing the tension on Alexander's face. "I'm terrified," Alexander admitted, his voice low. "Not just about the treatment, but about letting you and Olivia down." Emily squeezed his hand gently, her gaze steady. "We're not here for the outcome, Alexander. We're here for you. No matter what happens, we'll always be by your side." Her words seemed to ease some of his fears. He offered her a faint smile, his green eyes filled with gratitude. Upon arriving at the Swiss clinic, the family was greeted warmly. Dr. Nakamura, the lead physician, outlined the treatment plan, emphasizing that it would be a challenging but hopeful journey. The first few weeks passed in a blur of tests and therapy sessions. Emily juggled caring for Olivia with supporting Alexander through his toughest moments. One evening, after a particularly grueling day of treatment, Alexander sat on the balcony, gazing at the stars scattered across the Swiss sky. Emily joined him quietly, placing her hand gently over his. "Do you think all of this will be worth it?" she asked softly. Alexander turned to her, his eyes brimming with emotion. "Yes, not just because of this treatment, but because you and Olivia have given me something I thought I'd never have. A family." Emily smiled, her eyes welling with tears. "We found a family in you too." A few weeks later, Alexander began to see signs of improvement. His skin, once marred by scars and lesions, started to heal visibly. One day, as Emily helped him try on a new suit she had tailored, she noticed the changes. "Look, Alexander," she said, her voice catching, "you're really getting better." Alexander glanced at his arm, disbelief flickering across his face. "It's like a miracle." Dr. Nakamura confirmed the positive progress. "We still have a long way to go, but I'm very optimistic," he said. Those words ignited a new hope for all three of them. Emily, Olivia, and Alexander began dreaming of the future, a future filled not only with health, but also with love and new possibilities. Months had passed since Alexander began his treatment in Switzerland, and the results were beyond what anyone had hoped. His skin was nearly fully healed, and his energy had returned. Emily and Olivia couldn't hide their joy as they watched Alexander walk confidently without the need for gloves to hide himself anymore. One afternoon, as the three of them sat on the balcony overlooking the snow-capped mountains, Alexander took Emily's hand. "Emily," he began, his voice thick with emotion as he took her hands in his, "you and Olivia didn't just pull me out of loneliness. You gave me hope, a reason to live again. For the first time in years, I can picture a future, one filled with love, laughter, and family. I don't want to wait any longer to make that dream a reality." He got down on one knee, his piercing green eyes shimmering in the afternoon light. "Emily Carter, will you marry me?" Emily was speechless, her heart full. Olivia, sitting beside her, squealed with excitement. "Say yes, Mom." "Yes, Alexander, I will," Emily finally said, tears of joy streaming down her face. The wedding was simple yet beautiful, held in the garden of the clinic where they had endured trials and found hope. Dr. Nakamura, who had witnessed their journey from the start, officiated the ceremony. Staff members, patients, and friends they had made during their time at the clinic gathered to celebrate with the small family. Olivia, acting as the flower girl, wore a simple white dress that Emily had lovingly sewn. She proudly walked down the aisle to deliver the rings to her mother and dad Alexander. Alexander, dressed in a new suit designed by Emily, looked at her with nothing but love and gratitude. "When I thought my life was over, you gave me a reason to hope," Alexander said, his voice shaking as he slipped the ring onto Emily's finger. "And you gave us a family," Emily replied, her eyes glistening with happiness. A few weeks after the wedding, they returned to New York. Alexander was healthier than ever, and Emily began turning her dream into reality, launching a fashion line specifically for individuals with unique medical needs. "We're not just designing clothes," Emily explained to Alexander as they worked in their newly opened atelier, Olivia playing happily nearby. were designing confidence, dignity, and a sense of belonging for people who felt overlooked. Alexander smiled, pride radiating from him as he looked at the woman he loved. "And we'll do it together." Olivia burst into the room holding up a drawing she had made. "This is us," she said, pointing to the picture of 3 figures holding hands. "A happy family." Emily pulled her daughter into a warm hug, glancing at Alexander with a smile. Their journey had been long and arduous, but together they had found love, family, and a future full of promise. The challenges they had faced only made their bond stronger. Now, with hope in their hearts and dreams within reach, Emily, Alexander, and Olivia were ready to take on whatever came next. Together.